Hello everyone, this is Smitha. I am glamsmitty on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and today I have something very exciting. I have new singles from Terra Moons that are launching soon. I don't know if this is the summer launch. It may be. There may be shades later in the summer. I'm not too sure, but we are excited either way. We have, and thank you to Terra Moons for sending these over to me. This video I just made for fun. I do share swatches as well on Instagram if you want to check those out, and I swatches and other kind of content over there. Anyway, I think today what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the new launch, do some swatches, and I will swatch them and then try to put them into the context of some other shadows that already exist from Terra Moons, just so that you can see how they compare to those shades. And then I will also show macros and eye swatches and wrap up at the end. So anyway, and I do have a non-affiliate code with Terra Moons. It is just glamsmitty15. I know that it does work on a number of things on the website. I'm not sure if it'll work on all of these shadows, but worth a shot anyway. But yes, we have 11 shades that are launching this May 27th at 7 p.m. EST. I believe that all of these shadows are multi-chromes, but as always, Terra Moons shares a lot of information about each shadow, the pricing, whether the shades will be available in a bundle or not. So definitely check out their Instagram page and website for more information. Just as a whole vibe, I'm getting a lot of very kind of light and ethereal shades, which I love. There are some kind of like, there's a kind of vibrant pink shadow over here, but in general, these are kind of light and ethereal shades. And they are incredibly shifty and beautiful, which we expect no less from Terra Moons. I know that I've said it before in previous videos, and I'll say it again. You really get a great variety of textures with Terra Moons. So I know that there are people with hooded eyes or that have certain preferences about the texture of their shadows. And I truly believe that in terms of variety of textures, you get a great variety with Terra Moons. So I think, you know, there really is something for everyone. They're constantly coming out with new shades, both matte and shimmers. They have regular shimmers, duochromes, multi-chromes. I really think there's a great variety and a growing variety. So I think even in this launch, there's a good variety of textures. So if certain types of textures are not as much your vibe, I do think you'll be able to you'll be able to get on with at least some of the shadows in this collection. So anyway, without further rambling, I will go ahead and get going, get into the swatches portion of this video. So we're going to start off with, actually, I'm going to start off with sort of the two iridescent shadows. So the first one is Halo of Stars, and I would say, you know, the texture of these is very similar to the texture of other iridescent shadows from Terra Moons, so like Red Giant, Phoenix, Astral, all of those other types of shadows. So I think these are pretty similar to what exists already. So the first one is Halo of Stars, and the second one is Titania. So let's start with Halo of Stars. So I'm seeing some orange and violet, maybe a hint of red in there. So go ahead and swatch that. So there is Halo of Stars. Might even be like maybe a hint of, no, I thought I may have seen green in certain lighting, but I think mostly this is sort of like a pinky orange red shift to it. Super beautiful. And then Titania. And Titania, I would say in comparison has maybe, it does also have pink and orange, but it looks like it has a bit more orange in it than does Halo of Stars. And you can definitely see that in the swatch. It's got a little bit of, definitely has, look at that, green and orange as well, or sorry, green and red as well. So there is Titania. And then I pulled out a couple of Iridescent Shadows to go ahead and swatch alongside. And I know this is not comprehensive by any means, but hopefully just seeing it in the context of a few other shadows will help. Let's see if I have room to swatch up here. We're gonna try. So this is Red Giant above Halo of Stars. So to me, actually, Halo of Stars looks like it's a teeny bit more red than is Red Giant, at least on me. But there it is compared to Red Giant. And then underneath, I keep forgetting the name of it. It's Titania. I'm gonna swatch Ice Giant. Actually, Ice Giant is completely different. It's got kind of like pinky green shift to it. But there's a few shade comparisons, and I do think that I didn't pull out Phoenix, but I do think that Phoenix is a little bit lighter orange, a little bit more true orange than is Titania. So those are the first two shades. And then the next shade, I'm going to use my wrist, I think, for these swatches, is Star Formation. So there is Star Formation. It has, I think this texture is going to be kind of comparable to the Cosmos. And I think that's what they said on their Instagram page as well, that this is probably comparable to the Cosmos in texture. So there we have Star Formation. The shadow is so reflective, metallic, really intense. So I pulled out a couple of pink shadows to compare Star Formation to. Alright, so the first shadow that I pulled out is Terrestrial. So Terrestrial is from the spring 2022 release. It's one of my favorite pink shadows from Terra Moons. So there is Terrestrial. And the texture of all of the shadows that I pulled out to compare it to is quite different from Star Formation. None of them is like the Cosmos or Star Formation in its texture. But just so you can kind of compare the shades, there is Terrestrial, and then underneath that, I'm going to go ahead and swatch Halley's Comet, and Halley's Comet is from the most recent release. It is a really, really intense, beautiful, kind of pink with a blue shift, duochrome shadow. So there it is swatched under Terrestrial. And then finally, I pulled out a gray base multichrome called Venus, which again, completely different than these, but just so that you can see the shade comparisons between these. So there is Venus swatched under Halley's Comet. Okay, and then the next shadow that we have for comparison is, let's use the back of my, the back of my wrist for these. I was like running out of space, but this is the next shadow, Galileo. It's kind of like a bluish shadow with, let's see, with like, oh, that's so pretty, with pink shifts. I would say this is smoother in its texture than star formation or a few of the like flaky shadows in this launch. This is also like more comparable to the iridescent shadows I swatched at the beginning. So there is Galileo. It's almost like a teal base with pinky shifts. So that is Galileo. And then I pulled out Raya, which is from the most recent Terra Moons launch as well. This is a duochrome shadow. It's definitely more blue than Galileo. I also have, for comparison, Hyperbole. I think I'm probably saying that wrong. And this is from summer 2022. That's pretty different too. So there is those three. Let's see, do I have anything else to compare it to? Yeah, I have one more. Supernova, and I'm not actually, I think this shadow may be discontinued now. Oh yeah, I think this is gonna be more comparable than the first two I chose. So there's Supernova, and Supernova is from like, I want to say winter 2021. It's a Cosmic Chameleon, but that looks a little more, definitely more teal. Alright, so that is the first batch. I'm going to go ahead and come back with some of the purples after I clean off my arm here, and then we can do the next set of swatches. Alright, and next we have the shade, I'm definitely going to say this wrong, Safina. So this is like kind of, again, like sort of a greeny teal with pink shifts. Ooh, the pink shift in it is very strong, really pretty. So there it is, swatched on the back of the hand. And let's see what we should compare that to. All right, I have the shadow Half Moon, and this has been in the line for quite a while. So the base color looks like it's maybe similar, but doesn't have any of that really strong pink shift. So there is Half Moon. And then I think this one is going to be pretty different, but this is Shattered Stars. And again, this doesn't have, it's a little bit different in its base color too, a little darker, and doesn't have the pink shift. Okay, so that is Shattered Stars. All right, let's swatch the purples. And I think I'm going to swatch both purples. Ultraviolet, which is one of my favorite shadows in this collection. It has a little bit of that, it's the metallic, but also like slightly chunky. I'd say the Cosmos is the type of texture that this is as well. This is so pretty. And it has a little bit of a green shift as well, like right there. So that is Ultraviolet. And the other purple in this collection is Mystic Mountain. So I'm going to go ahead and swatch that right underneath. This is a little bit deeper. So that is Mystic Mountain. And this one, Mystic Mountain's a little smoother in its texture. So I have some purples. I love the Terra Moons purples. They have such a wide variety. I love purple. So this is Reign of Terra, another like favorite purple from Terra Moons. This is a little bit bluer than the other two and a little deeper. And then the next one I'm swatching is Chasing Comets. And Chasing Comets is from at least like a year or two ago. This is another like favorite purple. There we are. So that's Chasing Comets, a little more purple in it than Reign of Terra, which is a little bit more kind of blue purple. And then Phantom Galaxy is a recent shadow. This is one of the deepest purples that I have from Terra Moons. So there is Phantom Galaxy. All right, moving on to this sort of peachy tone shade called Jovian Storm. So there is Jovian Storm. Has this really kind of pretty, kind of like pink, peachy shift in it. And now I'm actually thinking that Venus would be a good one to compare it to. Venus looks like its shift is a little bit more like green yellow, and it's a little more pinky in its base. A couple other kind of peachy orange shades to compare to. The first is Axis, and Axis is duochrome from the spring 2022. So that actually is kind of similar, and it's like in its undertone, but its shift is not the same. So that is Axis. And then the next shade we have is Sun Sign. And I don't know, I think this might be a discontinued shadow. This is a little bit more like lighter peachy shadow. Okay, and then the next one we're gonna do is the pink shade. This is WR124. It's a really vibrant pink shadow, a little bit kind of like that metallic flaky texture. That's so pretty. And the color or the shadow that seemed to me the most similar was Lost in Space, which is definitely within the last year or so. So here is Lost in Space, but its shift isn't the same. It's a little bit more like pinky as opposed to WR124, which is a little bit more like pinky red. Okay, we're getting there. Last couple of shades. All right, let's see if we can make some room on the back of my arm here. So this shade is Butterfly Nebula, and to me it seems like this could be an iridescent. Like, it looks like it's going to function like an iridescent, and its texture is pretty similar to Sublunar. So I actually pulled that out to compare it to. I don't think the shades are all that similar, but I thought the textures were similar. Yeah, so there's Sublunar. So Butterfly Nebula looks like it's got more of a pinky shift to it versus Sublunar, which looks like it's a little bit more green, red, and orange. But if you like the texture of Sublunar, it's a super intense iridescent shadow. I think you're gonna like Butterfly Nebula. Okay, see if we can make room for the last shadow in the set, which is Voyager. So Voyager looks like it's kind of grungy, kind of purple-green shadow. So there we have Voyager. And then, let's see, I'm going to compare it to Phantom Galaxy. This is a little bit deeper of a purple. And I actually feel like I should have compared La Lune to Voyager, but I think La Lune is a little bit more green in its base than Voyager is. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up and then finish up with some of my final thoughts. Okay, actually I came back with a couple of other comparisons. So again, this is Voyager, and then this is Artemis, which is from a couple years ago. It looks to me like it's a little more green. And then here is Exoplanet, and Exoplanet actually does have a shift kind of similar to Voyager, but it looks darker in its base, and La Lune is under that, which also seems similar to the other two. I'd say, like, in terms of light to dark, it would be Voyager, and then La Lune, and then Exoplanet. So hope that was helpful. I am gonna go ahead actually and show my eye swatches and macro footage, and then we will wrap up at the end. First we have Safina, which is a pale green with beautiful pink shifts to it. Galileo is similar vibes, but a little bit more sparkly, a little darker, and probably a little more teal. Next we have Star Formation, which is this incredibly reflective, shifty, pale pink shadow. Next we have Ultraviolet. Ooh, this is my favorite shadow in the whole collection. It's a beautiful lilac with kind of greenish shifts to it. Next we have Jovian Storm, which is kind of like an orangey red with fiery shifts in it. Next we have WR124, which is a hot pink with orangey yellow shifts. Next we have Mystic Mountain, which is a deep purple in its base, and it has a beautiful green shift. Next we have Voyager, which has sort of a deep teal base with pink and kind of like yellow-orange shifts. Next we have Halo of Stars, which is a pinkish-based iridescent with green and yellow and orange shifts. Next we have an iridescent shadow that reminds me in texture a lot of Sublunar and is extremely shifty. And finally we have Titania, which is a reddish-based iridescent with pink and green and yellow shifts. All right, now that we've had a chance to go through an overview of the launch that's coming from Terra Moons, do some swatches and some comparisons with other Terra Moon shadows, and then done some macro footage and eye swatches. I hope you found this video helpful. Definitely let me know in the comments what else you might like to see in the future. But I think that people are really going to enjoy this launch. There's such a good variety of shades, and yeah, I just think you know, Terra Moons continues to bring unique shades, textures, finishes, keeps pushing the limits, and so these launches are always super fun for me, and I know a lot of you all out there also share the love when it comes to Terra Moons. So excited to see what you think, what shades are your favorite, and what you'll be picking up either in this launch or adding to your wish list. So yeah, thanks again, and I will see you soon. Have a great week. Bye.